order as of 7:00 p.m. This meeting is being live streamed. I would ask that you all now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Okay, before we get started with the approval of minutes from our prior meeting, some guests. Mr. Mayor, do you want to take this away?
I certainly can. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Brady and Landon, come up front, please. We have Landon Smith and Brady Brennan. We'll stay over there in front of me. And I'll swear both of you in. So repeat after me, please. As a Penn Manor High School student advisor to the Millersville Borough Council, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations. Welcome to Millersville. Let me get your pen up here. Done.
And don't steal his pen and get grumpy.
We'll get these to you at the end of the meeting, or that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome, folks.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next order of business. I will entertain to approve the minutes of the October 8th, 2024 regular council meeting.
I will move to approve the council minutes from the October 8th, 2024 meeting.
Phyllis, do I hear a second? Any discussion required on these minutes? Very well, then all those in favor of approving the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. All right, at this time, council will hear any comments, requests, or concerns from members of the public related to items on the agenda or other matters. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. We do ask that you either come to the microphone or request the microphone be brought to you. Please also give your name and a general address for the record. Come on forward and step up to the podium for me, or do you need us to bring a microphone to you?
My name is Mike Weidinger. I live at 146 Victoria Road in Millersville. I have 2 topics to discuss. Hopefully I'll get them both in 5 minutes. I'm sure everyone's aware the borough has a sign ordinance. I'm sure all the council members are aware of it and have read it and studied it. And all you do is drive around the borough and see it violated every day. There's limits on the amount of political signs that a person could have in the yard. There's also a limit on the size of those political signs. Now, just from driving around the borough and not really doing any kind of search, I was able to see on Charlotte Street, Cottage Avenue, Millville Pike, and some other streets. Now, I don't often travel over to the People's Republic of Quaker Hills, but I did go over there too. So I wonder, is that ordinance going to be enforced or not? Do we enforce ordinances? How do people know what ordinance is going to be enforced or not?
Sure, this isn't necessarily a question and answer ceremony now, or question and answer session, but we will certainly take what you have to say and move along to enforce our ordinances, yes.
Well, that doesn't answer the question at any level.
You asked if we enforce our ordinances.
Are we going to enforce that ordinance?
It is my understanding that we enforce all of our ordinances equally.
Well, it's obviously not being enforced.
Which means it's something that we're going to have to look into.
Second
Is there,
topic I'd
Mike,
like to discuss.
Mike, is there a specific an address that you could give us an example of one?
Is it the responsibility of the citizens to report violations?
No, but since you did say something, I thought.
No, I don't have specific addresses. I
That's
saw
fine.
them on the streets.
That's
Said
fine,
along
thank you.
Charlotte Cottage and 99.
Charlotte Cottage and some Millersville Pike,
Yeah, that's fine.
Wall Bank, Landis Avenue.
All over.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to raise, and I see I have 3 minutes left, I received an anonymous letter in the U.S. mail. And, you know, I've been around for a while doing this stuff, and it accused me of taking money from a developer to put forward and help approve a plan that they had brought. It also told me that I was a member of, and I'm quoting from the letter, a member of the deep state. You know, and that's what this has become here. In all the years, 30-some years, that I've been involved with the Millersville Borough Planning Commission, never been accused of that. I never took a nickel from anybody. I was personally, I ain't scared. Bring it on, boys and girls. You know where I live. But, you know, it is a shame that that's what it's become. The people that I serve with, and served with for a long time, are honorable people who never took a nickel from anybody. I never took a nickel from anybody in 30 years. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that that's what we've become. That's what we've become. Deep state.
Mr. Warren.
You know, I had a friend, Craig Lehman, and some of you may have known Craig, who was former county commissioner, and he used to say, there used to be an old saying that all politics is local, but it's not anymore. It's all national. So now, I'm now a nasty, horrible person who's a member of the deep state and taking money. So I hope that doesn't happen to any of you folks, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and I'll probably be leaving the planning commission. I don't think I want to put up with it anymore. So thanks, and I do wish we would enforce the ordinances, or tell people which ordinances are not going to be enforced, so we know.
Mike, I would absolutely discount that letter you got. Whoever sent you that was just a big old coward.
Well, yeah, I'm not, as I said, I ain't scared.
Throw it down the toilet where it belongs.
Well, I don't even have it with me anymore, but, you know, just wanted to point it out.
And Mike, just so you know, to my face, I have been accused of taking money and only being in this position. And obviously that person doesn't know how much we get paid.
Well, I can tell you how much the planning commission members get paid.
Yeah, well, but it's happened to me, but I wasn't accused of the deep state.
That's okay. I hope I absorbed a couple of those for you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you again, Mike. Does anybody else have any business to bring before council? Come on up to the microphone, your name and address, please, for the record.
My name's Joe Wilcox. I actually live right next door here. I'm not really sure what to do about the problem that is occurring. It seems to be happening more frequently. Basically, I'm getting a lot of traffic down my driveway between the borough building and my residence, actually right through the secure, I won't say secure, but right where the police officers go in and out to the cruisers. I just had it happen on Sunday. I was actually out back watching TV, and I watched the gentleman. He walked up to the back door over here, kind of looked back in the yard, walked back around to where the bags are kept, came to the edge of my fence, looked in, walked the whole way up around. About 15 minutes later, he came back down through the yard here, and I said, "Can I help you with something?" And he said, "No, this is borough property. I'm just going wherever my dog takes me." But I'm getting people walking down my driveway, cutting over into the borough section, cutting between the buildings over here. And sometimes it's kids, sometimes it's adults. They're playing on the salt piles out there. They're going up to the top of the salt piles, coming down. But I don't know how to address it or what to address, but I know at some point, I think there was a fence or maybe a sign or something going up through there, telling them that it was not a throughway. I'm not sure. I've only lived there like 7 years. It seems more and more frequently people are wandering out and around the back. I know you guys have cameras back there, but
Is it pedestrian?
pedestrians, just people taking shortcuts.
Not automobile
But not
traffic.
autos.
That happened a few times. I mean, it's pretty noticeable. It's a driveway, but they're going down. Fell. I'm not responsible for that because I think that's actually your guys' property because of the hill that's there. But it's just something I thought I would bring to the attention. I'm not sure how to correct it or if it can be corrected, but yeah. Okay.
Appreciate your time, Joe. Thank you. Any other comments? Very well. Seeing none, we will move on to reports of boards and commissions. Let's see here. Yes, Blue Rock Regional Fire Commission consideration and approval of 2025 budget. So according to this, we have a motion to accept, amend, or reject the proposed 2025 Blue Rock Regional Fire District budget as presented. This is something that was in the backup. I presume that individuals had a chance to read over this. Is there any discussion on this matter?
Well, I have 2 points.
Sure.
Number one, where's Mr. Hagelgans tonight?
He was unable to be here and the chair was unable to be here. They're gonna try to come to the November 12th meeting, but
Which would be after the fact.
it's before the advertising of the budget, at least.
Okay, at least.
Yeah.
My second point is that we're facing a deficit, and I'm not too sure that we can afford to tax our residents so much that we could afford to give them more than what we normally do, but that's my 2 cents.
Now, traditionally, the budget increases we've seen from Blue Rec have been due to property assessments increasing. That is not necessarily the case here. This is because of a deficit on their part, correct? Do we know what the genesis is for that deficit?
It's their building,
Okay, that they're constructing.
And am I correct in assuming that one of the things that you would like to do is build a capital fund for us?
we'll have a capital improvement plan.
Right.
Right.
Which is basically why they're asking us for a capital expense.
They're, right, trying to build a facility.
That's correct.
Further discussion on the matter? Is this something that we would prefer to table until we can hear from the individuals at Blue Rock? Or do we want to move forward with a motion to accept, reject, or amend this budget?
I think we can move forward.
And I would like to table.
Would you like to make a motion, Mary Ann?
I make a motion that we reject this budget and that we continue to give whatever it was that we have given in the past.
Very well. Does that motion have a second? Linda with the second. Any further discussion? Very well. All those in favor with rejecting the proposed 2025 Blue Rock Regional Fire District budget as presented, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye, me.
Right. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Just a point of clarification.
By all
So
means.
the motion was to reject. Council does need to approve some type of budget for Blue Rock, so.
I did include in my motion that we continue to give them what we've given them in the past.
So just to confirm, that's that in 2024, we gave $120,096 to Blue Rock.
That is
So
correct.
that's what we'd like to give.
That's what I said.
Questions? All right. In that case, we'll move on to council committee items for agenda.
The financial report was reviewed. This budget will be nearly 100% expenditures while waiting for grant reimbursement monies and other funding sources. Kind of interest is that over $6,000 we received an interest in September. So they have them in some CDs or something. So that's why it was so much. Chairman Herr attended an informative grant meeting for state and federal grants, and I believe our chief was there. The support group will help with fundraising for the new building, but they're short. Those are the people that put on the Tomato Festival. They're short of personnel themselves, so any kind of help we can get for the building. Dwayne continues to look for funding sources for the new station, including forming a fundraising committee. In August, the Blue Rock had 86 calls, 42 in the township with 5 false alarms, and 20 in the borough. There were 10 false alarms. The calls are up in the borough because the college students are coming back. There was a blood drive at Highville on 9/19 with a total of 19 donations, 9 being Blue Rock members. The Lions and Kiwanis clubs have a benefit fundraiser for Blue Rock. They had one for Blue Rock on 9/14. There are 7 new members for October, by the way, and there are several public education and trunk or treat events coming up this month. Equipment is being donated to help with the plowing of the land for the archaeological study for the new building. A map was provided of the entire district indicating where our members live. It also gave a breakdown of stations, of how many members are at each station. And the map demonstrates that the location of the station is close to many of our members from both stations 907 and 903. That's it.
Was there any discussion about the details about the 10 false alarms they had in the borough? Is that being attributed entirely to students?
Because he made that comment, it was.
Okay.
So this time, and that's expected because they're coming in, their showers, that will put steam and they do other things. And so it kind of sets the benchmark for, okay, these people have called. Now, are they going to call 3, 4, 5 times?
And what was the time frame again for those 10 calls?
This was in August.
For the month of August?
Yes.
All right, we'll be moving on to council committee items for agenda, and we'll be starting with Finance Advisory Committee. We'll begin with budget contributions, that is community donations. It's the community service budget item on the backup. Very good. So we've already had a discussion about our contributions to Blue Rock Regional Fire. We are looking at a similar amount to 2024 for Emergency Alert Services and Firemen's Relief Association. We have decided in committee to increase our contributions to, or propose an increase in our contributions to the county library from an amount of $2,861 to $5,000. Similarly, we are proposing an increase in our contributions to Lancaster EMS from an amount of $3,000 to an amount of $5,000. Other contributions all remain flat. Do I have a motion to approve the 2025 community donations as presented in the proposed budget?
Do you need one? It's out of committee.
I do need the motion. I don't need a second.
I move.
No second is required. Is there any discussion about the community service budget lines? Very well. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to accept the 2025 community donations as presented in the proposed budget, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. And any abstentions? Very well, then the motion carries unanimously. Next, there is consideration of the fee schedule recommendations and approval of request for draft resolution. So we took a look at our fee schedule and made a number of changes. When was the last time the fee schedule had been updated prior to this, Rebecca, do you recall?
In totality, probably a decade. Little things have been changed over time.
Well overdue. So the fees for a number of items, certainly too many to list here, have been increased by a modest amount, usually to increases that are due to the amount that processing these requests have been increased. So some of the highlights, do we have a breakdown actually on this document, Rebecca?
Yeah, everything in red.
Everything in red.
The big ones start on page 6.
Yes, page 6.
Right,
That's something other than what I've got?
no, but these are the ones, the parking permits, and we increased these. She said these are the big ones. So I assume that's what she's referring to.
I agree. Okay. Let's see if we can't get some highlights here. So, that's your page 6?
Well, I'm assuming it's page 6.
Do you want me to read through them?
Yeah, if you would, please. I'm having trouble. None of these are coming up as in red or the backup.
Okay, no worries. So the first change is under residential parking permits, goes just slightly. For borough parks, upping the per league per season price for ball field number 1 to 500 from 325. And slightly upping the amounts for each of our pavilion rentals. The next ones are down the next page under street and sidewalks. Those are some increases into the amount for permits related to street excavation. The next ones are on page 10. The application approval, or I'm sorry, the application for conditional use fees, upping that from 600 to 800, that to 800, really due to the cost of advertising being much higher. Residential rental units, the big changes is the addition of a compliance reinspection fee. Right now, everyone gets those for free, but those cost the borough money on our end. And under property maintenance, upping the amount for the quick ticket for noxious weeds and grass to 100, parking on grass to 100, and the other big change is adding in, and now that council has passed a short-term rental ordinance, having a fee for that permit application, and that being $100 to match what we do for our other rental license fees.
End of list?
Oh yes, that's in the list.
Very good. Yeah, the important thing to note about the fee schedule is this is not necessarily a money-making scheme. The fees are really designed to offset the cost of providing these services for individuals. And frankly, by having the fees increased, it's being paid by individuals who are making use of the service, not having the deficit made up by the taxpayer. So with all of that said, I am going to make a motion to accept the proposed changes to the Millersville Borough fee schedule and request a draft resolution be crafted for council to approve at an upcoming meeting. This was approved in Finance Committee, so I don't require a second. Is there any discussion about these fees the council feels needs to happen? Very well. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Very well, the motion carries with unanimity. All right, now what I consider the main event for the evening, what I've been spending most of my week on, consideration of millage rate scenarios for 2025 and approval of a request for draft ordinance. So, currently looking at our millage rate as it stands, which has not been changed since, I believe, 2017? 2021, there was a change, very well. If we were to have no increase in our millage rate, we would currently be operating at a deficit in excess of $700,000. I consider that to be an short term. Anything that we are in a deficit for will come out of our, I want to say the right thing, general use, the fund balance, thank you. Which at the end of fiscal year 2024, we anticipate having $2.3 million in. A millage rate increase has to happen. It doesn't necessarily have to happen this year, but if not, we're going to have to increase it by a more substantial amount next year. So Rebecca sent out a list of mill increases and what that might look like as opposed to our budget, was even thoughtful enough to include things like the percentage increase per parcel, what an average parcel in Millersville is, which for those of you playing at home is about $1,030, and what different mill increases might look like that. So it's up to us to decide, number one, if we should, and I strongly recommend council consider that, and number two, to what amount we want to increase that, and what that, and I have some figures on what that might look like for the average individual in the borough. Yep. So just to tear the Band-Aid right off, if we wanted to run a deficit-free or go deficit-free next year, we would be looking at a 2.125 mil increase, something that would cost the individuals of the borough about $30 a month. It'd be a 37% increase, an increase of about $377 a year for an individual who has the average parcel.
37% increase.
Yes. Now, discuss going down from there. I think something closer to a 1 or 1.25 mil increase is a reasonable accommodation. That would see dollar increase amount for the average parcel in around the $15 range. $1 mil, 1.125 mil would be something closer to $200 a year or $16.65 a month. But I am eager to get feedback from the remainder of council to see where everybody else, what direction everybody else thinks.
Since I've been really talkative tonight, I'm on a roll. I'm mindful of the fact that we're hit by inflation, but so are our taxpayers. And I doubt I could support much more than half a mil increase. I know that we're gonna have to take money from our fund. Half a mil increase is a 9% increase. It would give us revenue of $107,790, and it would, let's see, average cost to an average taxpayer would be about $89.
Per year, yes.
That is where I would stand. I probably, if you twist it, really good reason, I might be able to support 3/4 of a mil. But right now, I agree we need some sort of an increase. I think a mil is too much. I'm in favor of it.
And
That's
half a
me.
mil.
That's just me.
Nope, by all means, and that's perfectly fine. The $568,000 deficit, something that we could support for a couple of years, coming out of the fund balance. Certainly, we are cautioned against going below 1.3 million per year. That's the amount of money we need in order to support an emergency. If we were to be unable to collect funds for 3 months, that would get us through any reasonably sized emergency. Phyllis, you said you had something to add?
Well, I have to agree. I mean, nobody likes a tax increase, let's be honest about it. But everything, and we had been using a lot of the ARPA funds in our to really sustain a number of things, and we no longer have those ARPA funds. And much as I don't want an increase, most people don't, but I think that we need to do it this year, and I would be more inclined to go with the 3/4 mil increase. That would be 130.19 cents approximately on the average parcel for the year. I realize that a lot of people are having struggles at this time financially because of the high prices of everything. But we have the same thing here in the borough. We need to be able to pay for everything, and for police and, well, you can name it, office, everything. There's just so many different things that budget goes towards. And so I would like to see us go with more of higher. It's, the half mil is 9%, 3/4 mil is 13%. I think going anywhere above that is, would be nice, but not feasible for the citizens of the borough.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we go at the lower amount of 9%, is it possible for us then to open this up again next year and increase it a slight amount next year and take it in little tiny steps so it's not such a killer?
It absolutely is. Certainly, if we were to go with a half mil increase this year, it is likely that we have next year. So with that being said, certainly we can go with the deficit between a half a mil and 3/4 of a mil is fairly negligible. We run a deficit with a half mil of 568,000. With 3/4 of a mil, we are looking at something closer to 480,000. It's not nothing, but if that's sort of the drain we're circling, then my recommendation would be for the 3/4 mil increase. But again, I'm open. This is a discussion. I'm open to input before we make any decisions. We're talking about people's money. We're talking about making sure we're taking care of the residents. At the same time, we're trying to take care of the borough.
I think both. I mean, I can go with either one at this point, because they both have the same heart for the residents. So I would be strongly against anything above.
Anything about 3/4? Right. Very good. Anything on your end, Mike?
3/4 sounds reasonable to me. Anything above that, I think, is too much right now.
All right. Well, then we will do this in stages. It sounds like the majority are talking about being around the 3/4 mil increase, that 13% increase. So that's the first motion I will call. I am going to move that we make a motion to
Ordinance be
Yep. I'm going to move that we make a motion to request a draft ordinance be prepared to reflect a 3/4 millage rate increase, millage rate in Millersville Borough effective January 1st, 2025, and for that draft ordinance to be reviewed for advertising by council at an upcoming meeting. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion for a 3/4 mil increase? Very well, then all those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. One opposed. Abstentions.
I'm going to oppose it also.
We have two in opposition. All right.
That probably should be, yeah, put it on the record.
I have a nice and call roll call vote.
Councilmember Koppel.
Aye.
Councilmember Eager.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerber.
No.
Councilmember Giverson.
Yes.
No.
Councilmember Skalowicz is not here. And Council President Moon.
Yes.
So 4 is 4, 2 against.
Yeah.
So it motion carries.
In that case, the motion does carry. All right. That will wrap up Finance Committee. We'll move on to Personnel Advisory Committee.
Okay, so at the last meeting, we had a discussion about the crossing guards, and taking on a service that would take care of it and take the burden off of the police department right now, who, have their own issues with how many employees and time that they have. So, at this point, I'd like to make a motion to accept or reject the crossing guard service, the proposal and agreement as presented with an agreement and date, and authorize the borough manager to prepare the agreement for execution. I should probably ask if anybody had any questions or concerns before.
You can wait until after a second. motion is to accept or reject.
It was out of committee to accept, I think, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Mary Ann?
I think it was out of committee to
Committee.
accept.
Yes, that's my understanding. So you'll need a motion, but you won't require a second.
I want to do so. Want me to read it again?
I'm so sorry.
We don't have it.
So one of the things that we do have that council does need to decide this evening is how long we want that contract for. So my provided to council was to do it for a year, so make it a December 31, 2025, and I will need you to say that with the motion.
Before you do, I do recall that I'm the one that made the motion during the personnel committee meeting, and I moved to approve it provisionally because you were going to check
Yeah.
with our solicitor, and what did she say?
Yeah, so I did include that in here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So because they are not party to the contract, and because Borough Code already states that crossing guards are provided by the municipality, there really isn't a place for them to sign in the contract. We are protected though because Borough Code states that the school district must pay 50% unless we come up with another agreement. So we're protected.
Okay. I'll go with that.
So yes, you're gonna need to read off the whole thing, I'm afraid. With the dates and everything.
So that was December
31st.
2026. So, make a motion to accept the Crossing Guard Services LLC proposal and agreement as presented with an agreement ending of December 31st, 2026, and authorize the borough manager to prepare the agreement for execution. 2025. December 31st, 2025.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, I think that counts. Doesn't require a second, but is there any discussion on this? Very well.
I think my only question, and I should have done this before, is are these people gonna have to do like the child, they're all gonna have the child abuse thing and all that happy
Yep.
stuff, okay?
Background checks, you mean?
Yeah, well, I saw the background check, but I didn't know if they were gonna be arrested. And all that stuff.
Child clearance is required.
Very good.
They have to.
Well, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries with unanimity.
Okay, and then we have the reappointment of Lauren Houck to the Planning Commission for her 4-year term ending October 31st, 28. This did come out of committee, so I don't need a second. So anybody want to give me a motion to accept the reappointment of Lauren Houck to the Planning Commission for another 4-year term ending October 31st?
So moved.
Very well. No second required. Any discussion on the appointment of Ms. Houck? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Once again, the motion carries unanimously. We'll now move over to Public Welfare and Public Works.
The only thing we have on the agenda this evening is consideration and approval to advertise limited commercial overlay district ordinance draft for future adoption by council. And this is out of committee, and I just might also mention that this is something that has come out of the comprehensive plan when we worked on that, and it was put into the plan and something that everyone pretty much has agreed to. So the motion, I will make the motion to advertise the draft ordinance to amend the Millersville Borough zoning ordinance to create a new LCO limited commercial overlay district that would apply generally along portions of the east side of George Street, north of James Street, to include 3 lots north of Normal Street, and to include adjacent lots along both sides of East Frederick Street for adoption by council.
Any discussion required on that motion? The motion itself sounded like a long conversation to me. Very well. In that case, all in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. And with that, Mr. Mayor,
I'm going to make
your
it real easy before I turn it over to the chief for his report. And Phil, I don't mean to steal your thunder, but in a week and a half, on November the 11th, I'd like for everyone to join us at Memorial Park as we honor our veterans. And for those who would like to memorialize their family, their loved ones, they can certainly contact the borough office to get themselves a brick in the name of their family. So please join us on the 11th at 10:30. Chief?
I will give you the police department activities summary for the month of September. We handled 419 calls for service. That included 23 ordinance complaints, 5 were for disorderly conduct, 9 were for noise, 7 were for open alcohol, and there were 2 others. 15. 3 disruptive conduct reports were issued. We made 37 criminal arrests. 27 of those were adults, 10 were juveniles. We cleared 7. We had 7 Part 1 offenses and cleared all 7 for 100% clearance. We had 40 Part 2 offenses and cleared all 40 for 100% clearance. Traffic violations, as I said before, are starting to creep back up now that I have the manpower, and the 2 officers that we sent to the police academy have just completed their field training, so you're going to see them out there doing more traffic enforcement. And so for the month of September, we had a total of 31 traffic violations, 18 speeding violations, and 13 other traffic citations. We handled 10 vehicle accidents, issued 152 parking tickets, and patrolled just over 3,000 miles. We did pick up 2 more involved investigations through the detectives and myself. Both were frauds, which has just always been the ongoing problem. That's a nationwide problem, and it's not stopping anytime soon. But that's it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Mayor, thank you. All right. Is Victor in the audience?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Being blocked out by you. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Be here. Wanted to just bring you up to date on a few items on campus. I've got a short report because campus is, things are going swimmingly on campus, it seems. And very quiet for some unknown reason. Just wanted to first just give you a quick update at sort of mid-semester. Last week was our mid-semester break, and so last week was a really quiet week on campus. And actually, if you're driving around the borough, it was really quiet around the borough too. At mid-fall, at our sort of mid-fall point, our head count really did remain strong. So the good news I brought you earlier was our initial head count has remained strong. So we've been really excited about staying above. A lot of times during the course of a semester, you sort of, what we call it melt. You kind of melt students as you go, because a lot of particularly freshmen come to campus and homesick or those kinds of things. So enrollment has stayed level and strong. We've got a couple of athletic events coming up with some teams that have been doing pretty well. Our soccer teams, both men's and women's, have been doing pretty well. I apologize in advance for our football team. You probably know that they haven't won a game yet. We are trying. We're trying. The boys are trying, but something seems to be off. For those of you that remember back to Gene Carpenter's days, we're just not at that same level as we used to be. Or would that be an understatement, Marianne?
Much so.
Much so. Absolutely. So, but we do have a lot of events coming up, and so I wanted to call your attention to those because I know some of you are frequenters of those events. So, Main Stage Theater production of Your Good Man Charlie Brown is coming up. Main Stage Theater up in Dutcher, which, as you know, is our historic theater. We have announced the dates for Glorious Sounds of the Season, and we've opened up ticket sales. So if you want to jump in quickly and get tickets, as you know, that's our premier event of the season. That is the first weekend in December. That's the 6th and the 7th. So so that'll be, again, like I said, ticket sales are already open for that, and we'd love to see all of you at that event. We also have announced the date for our winter commencement. That'll be Saturday, the 14th of December, and that will be an afternoon event. So you'll see traffic in the borough start picking up probably around 11:30. That again. Just one other piece of good news, I guess I'd like to bring to you tonight. We did recently get an award of a $1.2 million grant. It was just announced last week. It was in the LNP the other day, and that grant is a $1.2 million grant to address the teacher shortage and teacher recruitment. We at Millersville University, our founders, of course, our founding was based on teacher education and being the first normal school, and we continue to try hard to increase the teacher base across our region. And so for those of you that were in the teaching fields, you know that it's more than difficult these days to try to recruit new teachers. And so we've got a cache of money now that hopefully will go a long way to that. That is my report for this evening. I thank you for your time and attention. Happy to answer any questions that you may have or any needs that you may have.
Anything from council? No? Then we thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, we will move on.
And not try to drop it. I want to start off by saying thank you very much for this opportunity. This is pretty cool. My name is Bray Brownman. This is Landon Smith. I'm a senior at Penn Manor High School, and Landon is a junior at Penn Manor High School. We just want to shine a light on some great things happening at Penn Manor that I'm pretty eager to talk about. First of all is last week we had the amazing opportunity of John Paul Gonzalez, motivational speaker, to come to our school. He coined the phrase "all in" that swept and actually led the New York Giants to a Super Bowl back in 2011. So he shared that same motivational speech that also my dad teaches at Hempfield, so he spoke at Hempfield a little bit ago. Really powerful message that actually is still kind of shaking the school, so to speak. You hear kids talking about it in the hallways, which is pretty cool. You hear teachers talking about it and mentioning it. So really trying to ride that wave and not let it all come crashing down, that we make sure we say all in and 100% on everything we do, making sacrifices for the greater good of the group, and not being focused on ourselves. We also had the opportunity that teachers nominated around 40 to 50 students that actually had 2 breakout sessions with him afterwards. We were able to do some hands-on demonstrations and really focus on unity within our school, which was amazing and great to be part of. So that was awesome. I also want to shine a light on our juniors called Real Life, Thursday and Friday. That's about, well, what it says, real life. We're doing, the juniors will be simulating a budget in school and going through all that, almost simulating different games with costs of things, learning a lot of skills that you're going to use later in life, especially financially, which is really awesome. And I also want to talk about how much teachers, especially newer teachers, are really pushing real world experience. In the past couple of years, and especially this year, there's been a lot of students, and I assume that most of you guys have kids talking about, okay, I'm in math class, I'm in science class, when am I really going to use this in real life, right? So especially in electives and in some of these classes, teachers are getting people from outside, actually in these careers, to come into school and teach, and come into school and talk about the profession, which has impacted me a lot, and has impacted tons of my friends. Whether it be criminal justice, bringing in police officers, to sports med, where we're bringing in trainers and our school trainer to talk. It's been some really cool experiences and really cool opportunities. And here's Landon.
I will hopefully be quicker than that. I'm just going to highlight our sports successes right now. We have country and field hockey all playing in district playoff contentions right now as we speak. Some are playing tonight. And the other thing I'm just going to highlight quick is this new thing called Link Crew. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. It is led by juniors. I am a part of it myself. Basically, the goal of Link Crew is we do training in the summer 4 nights a week leading up to school, and then we have an orientation with all of our freshmen. So I believe our orientation this year had about 315 freshmen roughly that attended, took a day off of their summer, came and hung out with us for like 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we just did activities with them, played games with them, taught them things about high school. Just coming in, and we've had a lot of positive feedback with that. We're currently in the middle of planning our winter party with those freshmen. And then last week I got to attend, 20 of us got the opportunity to go to Hershey High School for a Link Crew conference with about 7 or 8 other schools in the area, and just learned from one of the overall leaders who gave our coordinators training. And it was just a really cool experience. No social awkwardness. Everybody was genuinely happy to be around each other, and that's what Link Crew is all about at the high school. We are trying to connect with our freshmen. So that's all I gotta say. Thank you for your time, council.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that comment on real life. I'm 77 and I'm still waiting for the day I use algebra in the daily basis. Hasn't happened yet.
Other questions for our newest members? Very well, then we will move on. Thank you both, gentlemen, for your time. Let's see here. We're getting close to wrapping up here, but we do have our manager's report. Sounds like you're going to be repeating what our mayor had to say to us. Is that right?
Yes. Well, first I just want to thank council tonight for working through some of those budget-related items that will immensely help us in the next 2 weeks to really put all the finishing touches on the budget to be able to present that to you all on November 12th, and hopefully that evening for you all to also vote to advertise that budget. So we are absolutely on track. I thank you for those votes tonight. That really helps us to finalize the document. And yes, to reiterate what the mayor said, Veterans Day ceremony reminder, November 11th, 10:30, down at the park. This year we have a total of 844 bricks that will be laid in the courtyard, so we're really excited about that. 5 bricks will be dedicated at this year's ceremony. There is still time to purchase a brick if you'd like to. And this is a truly community event to honor our veterans and those currently serving in the military. We will have the Red Rose Veterans Honor Guard in attendance. And our speaker will be Dr. David Owen. He's an associate professor of political science at Millersville and a veteran of the United States Air Force. So we are very excited. There's many sponsors, and we're very excited for this event. Sue and our office has put a lot of time into it, so we're really excited. We hope that you all can join us. And it is rain or shine. That's that. But we hope to see you there.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Rebecca. I don't have much for my own report. I did want to circle back to something from a few months ago. Some of you may recall that council penned a letter in support of our local community organization, The Loft, hoping to help them out with a grant application. That grant was unfortunately denied. With that being said, I spoke with Representative Smith-Waddell this morning about a different grant application they can go through that does require some additional input from us here at the borough. I spoke with the executive director at the Loft this morning, got her in contact with Rebecca to assist her with that grant application. This is for local shares accounts. For those of you who are unaware, when we started gambling in Pennsylvania and gently legalizing some of it, there was an agreement that a certain amount of that revenue would be put toward local or municipal good. Nonprofits can't apply for that directly, so the Loft could not apply for that themselves, but they can work in tandem with us. We can submit that request on their behalf. This would be for an equivalent amount of money and allows us the opportunity to work a little bit more closely with this community organization that we all have such a high and glowing opinion of. So that was just a new thing as of this morning, which is why it didn't make its way onto the agenda. I just wanted to make sure that the council was aware that this is something that we're pushing for the Loft. It's a great organization. We want the best for them, and I will keep you abreast as that develops. That's all I have for my report. I don't believe that we have any unfinished business or requirements for executive session. But I will make a motion that we adjourn for the evening. Do I have a second? Any discussion required? Seeing none. All those in favor of adjournment indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? This meeting stands adjourned.